Someone on the street stops you and says, "I saw you yesterday." You walked right past me. You didn't even look up, and you genuinely don't remember doing it. Not because you weren't there, but because looking down at the pavement has become so automatic that it doesn't even register as a choice anymore. You used to know how to do this. Make eye contact, hold it for a second, nod, keep walking. It was nothing. It didn't require thought. Now you catch yourself doing the math before you even reach someone on the sidewalk. Which side do I pass on? Do I look at my phone? Do I find something interesting on a building across the street? Anything that isn't a stranger's face. If this sounds familiar, you're not broken, and you're not as alone in this as it feels. Something has shifted in how an entire generation processes the simple act of looking at another human being, and almost nobody is talking about why. Stay with this one, because by the end, you'll understand exactly what's happening in that half second before you look away, and why it started happening to you in the first place. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Avoiding eye contact with strangers isn't actually new, and it isn't automatically a sign that something is wrong with you. A sociologist named Irving Goffman studied this decades ago and gave it a name. Civil inattention. The quick, almost invisible glance you give a stranger passing on the sidewalk, followed immediately by looking away on purpose. That brief look and release isn't rudeness. It's actually a small act of respect. It says, "I see you, you're not a threat, and I'm not going to invade your space by staring." In dense cities, on crowded trains, in packed elevators, this tiny ritual is what allows total strangers to exist near each other without every interaction feeling like a confrontation. So, a small amount of looking away has always been normal, even healthy. The question isn't whether you look away sometimes. The question is, what happened to turn that brief, respectful glance into a full, automatic avoidance? The kind where a familiar face walks past you, and you don't just fail to hold their gaze, you fail to notice them at all. That shift usually isn't about the strangers around you. It's about what's happening inside you before you ever reach them. Think about the state you're usually in when you're walking somewhere. Are you actually present, taking in the street, the people, the moment? Or is some part of you still replaying a conversation from work? Still bracing for a message you're waiting on? Still running through a mental list that has nothing to do with the sidewalk you're standing on? For a lot of people, the honest answer is the second one. Almost all the time, when your mind is already full, already on alert, already managing more input than it can comfortably process. It starts doing something protective without asking your permission. It begins filtering out anything that isn't essential, and a stranger's face, however friendly, gets filed under not essential almost instantly. This isn't laziness, and it isn't coldness. It's closer to a nervous system quietly deciding it doesn't have the bandwidth for one more input, even a harmless one, even a friendly one. Psychologists sometimes describe this as a kind of low-grade hypervigilance, not the intense, dramatic version you'd associate with danger, but a subtler, exhausting version, where your system treats ordinary social contact as one more demand on resources you don't have left to give. Here's where it gets personal. Because this pattern rarely announces itself all at once, it usually starts small. You're tired, so you skip the nod to a coworker in the hallway just once. You're stressed, so you keep your eyes on your phone walking into a building instead of glancing up. None of these moments feel significant on their own, but your nervous system learns from repetition just as much as your muscles do. Every time you choose the phone, the pavement, the middle distance over a person's face, you're not just avoiding one interaction. You're quietly training your default setting to be avoidance until eye contact stops feeling like the normal choice and starts feeling like the effortful one. Ask yourself honestly, when did you last make eye contact with a stranger on purpose, just to acknowledge that another person was there? If you have to think hard to remember, that's not a character flaw. That's the pattern showing you exactly how far it's progressed. Now there's a second layer to this, and it's one almost nobody talks about directly. The role your phone has quietly played in rewiring this specific habit. A screen in your hand gives you somewhere else to look that costs nothing socially. No nod required, no risk of an awkward moment, no need to manage another person's expression in response to yours. It's the lowest effort escape from a micro-interaction that ever existed. The problem is, every time you take that escape, you're not just avoiding one moment of mild discomfort. You're skipping a tiny piece of practice. Eye contact, like most social skills, stays fluent through repetition. And every rep you skip in favor of a screen makes the next one feel slightly more unfamiliar. An entire generation has now spent years defaulting to a screen in exactly the moments that used to require a glance, a nod, a flicker of shared human acknowledgement. And the muscle, because that's really what it is, has quietly atrophied without anyone deciding it should. This is why the shift can feel so disorienting when you finally notice it, the way you noticed it. It doesn't feel like a decision you made. It feels like something that happened to you, gradually while you were looking at something else, which in the most literal sense is exactly what occurred. There's also something worth naming honestly, because forbidden knowledge only matters if it's true. Some of this avoidance isn't dysfunction at all. It's your body accurately reading a genuinely more demanding environment. Modern life asks your attention to fragment constantly in ways it never used to. Notifications, deadlines, the low hum of always being reachable. A nervous system managing that kind of chronic load isn't malfunctioning when it starts rationing eye contact. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do: conserve energy for what it perceives as essential, and quietly deprioritize what it doesn't. The discomfort you feel noticing this in yourself isn't proof that something is wrong with you specifically. It's evidence that you're paying attention to a pattern most people are living inside without ever examining it. So what do you actually do with this? Now that you can see it clearly, the first thing is understanding that this isn't fixed by forcing long, intense eye contact with every stranger you pass, which usually backfires and feels stranger to both people than the avoidance did. The goal isn't intensity, it's frequency. Small, low-stakes moments, repeated often enough that the muscle remembers what it used to do automatically. The second thing is noticing your own pattern without judgment first. The next few times you catch yourself finding the pavement or the phone or the middle distance, just notice it without immediately trying to fix it. Awareness alone starts loosening a habit that thrives on being automatic and unexamined. The third thing, and this is the one most people skip, is picking a few specific, low-risk moments to practice deliberately. The cashier at checkout, the neighbor in the elevator, the person holding a door. These are safe, brief, socially expected moments to hold a glance for 1 extra second, offer a small nod, and let yourself feel the mild discomfort of doing it on purpose instead of avoiding it out of habit. That discomfort is the whole point. It's the feeling of a skill being rebuilt, not the feeling of something being wrong with you. If you've noticed this pattern in yourself, the way you're noticing it right now, it doesn't mean you've become a colder person or a worse one. It means you've been carrying more than you realized, for longer than you realized. And your body found a quiet way to cope with it that nobody ever explained to you. The good news is that unlike a lot of the patterns this channel talks about, this one isn't hiding in someone else's manipulation or someone else's advantage. It's just where, from a world that asks a lot more of your attention than it used to, and it can be rebuilt the same slow way it wore down. One small, deliberate glance at a time. VeilMind. Decode the hidden rules of the mind. They never taught you this in school.